And I'm actually, all right, well, welcome everybody. We're delighted to have you all here for Margin Mission Ignition, Lab number one kickoff. This is our 10th iteration, believe it or not, of MMI, as we affectionately refer to this initiative. And we've been at this since, I believe, 2013. And we've done it almost every year, with the exception of a year or two during the pandemic. So we're delighted to have everybody here. Before we jump in and get started, we'd love to take a Zoom photo. So if you wouldn't mind showing us your smiling faces, uh, and then you can feel free to take yourself off of video if you would like. And we've got a big group here, so we're probably going to do two of these Zoom photos to make sure we get everybody. So with that, I'm going to count down so everybody knows when to smile. Hopefully, we won't get any blinkers. And here we go. Three, two, one, smile. All right, let's do one more. And three, two, one, smile. All right, very good. So, with that, you can see we've got a nice group of folks here today. I'm going to share my screen and we will jump in and get started. So, the kickoff for this lab today, appropriately, is all about exploring possibilities for earned income. And we love this lab, and organizations that go through this lab love it because it's a real opportunity and a bit of a luxury, since we don't frequently take the time to do this in our organizations, to look at ways, entrepreneurial ways, that you can boost your revenue and your mission impact. And we love the revenue component of it because having unrestricted revenue is a very good thing. So hopefully you've got a beverage close by so you can stay hydrated, water, coffee. I've got my Diet Coke here, so that's one of my crutches. And we're going to start with a quote for today, as we like to do in each of our labs. And let me just read it. So, exploring possibilities is like a treasure hunt. Sometimes you have to dig a little deeper to find the gold. And we truly believe that that is one of the benefits of this Learning Lab series. Is you're going to have the opportunity to do just that, to apply your creativity, your thinking, and your team to helping you identify those nuggets of gold that potentially could become either a new earned income venture, something you don't already have, or something that you currently have, you can evolve, grow, and take to the next level. So, if you've been involved in the Patterson Foundation's initiatives in the past, you know that we like to spread the word. So, feel free to uh, get connected if you'd like to share anything. We love when you share on X, formerly Twitter, at the Patterson Foundation. We use two hashtags, TPF Margin Mission and Earned Income. And please feel free to like us if you haven't already on Facebook, and we'll do the same with all of you. And also, just a note that after today's lab, you are going to receive a copy of the slide deck. You're going to get a worksheet. You're going to also get a link to this recorded session. And we're also going to send a feedback survey. And we'll talk more about that towards the end of the session today. When we do our learning labs, we do have some must-dos that we like to share with you. And they're very much along the lines of, when you're creative, when you're doing what we're going to do today, which is all about exploring possibilities, we love when you can open your mind to exploration. We also want you to think about, a number of different kinds of possibilities We hope you'll learn something new, and also you'll likely reinforce some things you know. And you're probably not a shy group. So please, as we're going through the session today, ask questions, share comments, and let's use it as an opportunity for discussion. We always say earned income is fun, and maybe we're a little bit biased, but hopefully you'll all enjoy this process as we're going through it. So, why are we here today? We want to encourage each of you and your teams to really unleash your entrepreneurial thinking and spirit. And there's no better session than this one and the following labs to be able to do that. We want you to expand your understanding of earned income, so we're going to spend just a little bit of time talking about it and some definitions, a little bit of a primer. We have lots of nonprofit examples today. Uh, we believe that's really important to helping you think perhaps in new ways, in different ways. And we just know from nonprofits all around the country that we've worked with that they love hearing about what are others doing in earned income. And as I said before, it's an opportunity to engage in some interactive discussion and hopefully spark some new possibilities. So we're here until noon. The time is going to pass quickly. We'll do some quick introductions. We'll talk about what is margin mission ignition briefly, and then we'll get into earned income, definition, what are the benefits of it, exploring some possibilities, and of course, a Q&A and what's next. We are going to take a short break at 11 o'clock, just in case you need that. So it'll be a 5-minute break. So wherever we are at 11 o'clock, we will pause for that. Okay. Uh, while we're not going to have each of you introduce yourselves, because we don't have time for that, we just wanted to share this with you to see that you're all in good company. What a wonderful tapestry of organizations who have registered for today's session. We love seeing the variety of organizations, missions. You're all doing different things, but really tremendous things in terms of creating a difference in our 4-county region. So yes, this is you. I'd also like to just spend a moment introducing our team from the Patterson Foundation. So with us is the illustrious Michael Corley. Michael, say hello. We've got Josephine Eisenberg here with us. Josephine, thank you for all of your help preparing for today. Deborah Jacobs is not with us today, but she certainly is with us in spirit and sends her best to everybody. And Sarah Leonard is also with us, and you'll hear more about her in a few minutes. While we are pretty certain you all know about the Patterson Foundation, they're all about strengthening impact in this community in terms of people, organization, and communities in ways that foster wide participation around shared quality of life aspirations. And you've likely benefited from one or more of these initiatives. I'd also like to just spend a minute to introduce myself and the other No Margin, No Mission partners. So I'm Mike Oxman. I'm one of the managing partners and principals in a consulting practice called No Margin, No Mission. And I'll let Larry say hello, introduce himself.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Larry Clark. I'm the other managing partner.
So we're both zooming in today from beautiful Sarasota, are here for the week. When I'm not here, I live in Chicago, and when Larry's not here, he lives in the greater Seattle Tacoma area. And oftentimes you will just hear us referred to as Mike and Larry. We don't have last names, but you will, we're pretty sure that if you get to know us, it'll just become Mike and Larry. So we have a consulting practice. It is called No Margin, No Mission, and oops, sorry. We've been partnering with the Patterson Foundation for almost 13 years, and what we do is uniquely focused on helping nonprofits become stronger and more thrivable through earned income and social enterprise. And we don't do board development, we don't do fund development, we don't do strategic planning. So this is kind of our niche. And again, you'll hear us always talk about this. Our goal is to help organizations boost their revenue and increase their mission impact. We are passionate about it, and we love what we do, and certainly are eager to work with each of you and your organizations.
We're going to have a number of poll questions throughout the couple of hours. And so, Josephine, do you want to launch the first one?
I'm going to launch the first one now. Before I
Good.
do, though, really quick, if you haven't already, if you could rename yourself so that we see your organization after your name. For those of you that might not know how, there's 3 dots in your square, in your picture square. You click those 3 dots and a drop down comes and it'll let you rename yourself. And Johnette, if you guys can't, if whatever or whoever's setup isn't conducive to adding your org, it's okay. We just would
He's
like,
working on it, and I think momentarily we'll do that. So
okay,
I won't. Oh no, we may not. Well, we'll
it's okay. If you can, we would
I'll
love
do it.
everyone to do that to help us know who's who, and if not, it's totally okay. All right, here we go. The poll question.
Okay. First poll question, very important. Girl Scout cookies, a very well-known social enterprise. What's your favorite?
What's your
This is
favorite?
the easiest poll question you'll get. Those of you that are sitting with 3 of you in a group, you'll have to fight this one out a bit. Ah, interesting. Thin Mints usually doesn't take the second place.
Couple more. We'll give a couple more seconds for folks to vote. Hope everybody's seeing the screen. And I'm gonna end the poll in 2 more seconds. And here we go.
Great. Thank you, Josephine.
You guys see
So
that?
we can. So Samoa's like took the top. No, actually Thin Mints took the top, maybe.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's this is a very well-known social enterprise, as you know. So all of us have probably bought from them. All of us have been involved with that. So thank you for doing that and sharing your very tasty results.
Oops, I got to get rid of
Oops.
the poll.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about margin mission ignition and kind of what this journey might be, and hopefully you'll continue with us. It's an earned income journey, and we, as Mike said earlier, we want to provide you the time and the space to explore all the earned income possibilities and hopefully launch or grow an entrepreneurial venture. So it's all aimed at boosting your capacity, entrepreneurial capacity, your revenue, and your mission impact. So your opportunity is with MMI, there's 3 learning labs, and all of you are participating at the first one, and we're very, very happy about that. There's a second and a third one, which I'll talk a little bit about later. There's Zoom consulting calls after lab 1 and lab 2 and lab 3. And Mike and I will do those with your team. Each of our learning labs, we touch on a specific topic. And as I said a second ago, we have those 60-minute Zoom consulting calls. So it gives Mike and I an opportunity to meet with your team one-on-one, have a conversation about kind of what you're thinking, what ideas do you have? Is it something new or something you want to grow? And then we'll follow up each lab to discuss some homework and answer questions. And hopefully you'll take some action at that point. But those who want to fully participate in all the lab series, there's an opportunity to go a bit farther and be considered for the advanced intensive initiative phase of work. So it includes business plan development. So Mike and I would help you develop a business plan, acquisition of startup and growth capital. Sarah will be involved with that along with Mike and I. And we help you implement the business plan. And then we help track and monitor it along the way. Along with all of this, all of our time is funded by the Patterson Foundation. So that's a bit about March Mission Ignition. Very brief overview. So we wanted you to know what you're involved in, and we're very, very happy you're here. So let's go. What's happening right now in the nonprofit world? There are lots of twists and turns and ups and downs, and we thought, especially in this day and age, that roller coaster was probably a good visual to share with all of you. So it's not business as usual. And I think all of you are kind of realizing that right now. We're hearing that from a lot of the clients and organizations we're working with. But consider how to be more thrivable. What does that mean? It's so critical to think about how do we kind of think about our thrivability in this environment. So we believe diverse revenue is one way to do that. And a question we want you to ask yourself today and throughout the lab series: does your organization have multiple forms of income without relying on a single source for financial livelihood? Hopefully you don't have one big grant that you're relying on or one huge donor that you're relying on. So we want you to think about that diverse revenue stream. So a consideration is an organization is at risk if they have more than 30% of their funding coming from a single source. So think about that. Think about your funding right now as an organization. And do you have more than 30% coming from one single source, one grant or one donor, or kind of one large event that you do every year? So think about that, 30%. You would never put, 80, 90% of your retirement portfolio on one single stock. Think about it that way. You need to diversify. So something to consider as you move along. We want you to not just survive or sustain yourself, but to thrive. It's really important to think about not just surviving or sustaining, but thriving in the environment that you've created for yourself. And thrivability, and we have a TPF glossary, and as you kind of participate with us throughout, you'll understand that there's lots of TPF words that we'll use. But what is thrivability? It's a desirable state of being for nonprofits to achieve by intentional strengthening of their economic and mission muscle. So it's not just about making money. We also want you to increase your mission impact at the same time. So it's doing both of those. That's what creates thrivability for your organization.
All right, I'm going to talk about earned income. And while you all may have a sense for your own definition of earned income, just want to share ours. It's pretty simple. When we talk about earned income, we talk about it in terms of payments that provide a stream of unrestricted revenue to an organization, which can be generated through activities that are both related and unrelated to the mission. Now, we would much prefer that your earned income activities be mission aligned than not. However, if you decide that you want to have a cell tower on your building, if you own your own building and want to generate $10,000 a month in revenue, that's okay. It is likely going to be taxable because it's not mission aligned. But again, as we work through and talk today about a number of examples, we're going to be sharing earned income examples that are mission aligned, mission related, that can really help to further that mission impact. Okay, so that's how we define earned income. So why is earned income important, and what are the benefits? Now, again, this is likely not new to you, But we do like to share this just again to ground everybody in what we believe are the true benefits of earned income. And there's a number of them. So one is financial thrivability, which we've talked about. Many of you have alluded to in our sort of opening question, which ultimately would result in less dependency on grants, and that's a good thing. Mission alignment, again, as we have just shared, is also important because you generate revenue while furthering your impact. We talk about scalability, and from our perspective, earned income allows you the opportunity to grow and expand your reach, and that is a very nice benefit. We also like to talk about community engagement as a benefit. So it can allow you to form deeper relationships with all your various stakeholders, whether it is donors, whether it is funders, whether it is folks in the community who are the recipients of your service and your mission, and the list goes on. We also love that innovation and adaptability is a benefit of earned income. And by that, we mean that it affords you the opportunity to develop new solutions to meet community needs. And remember, community needs are ever changing and shifting. So the ability to be able to think about that and to innovate and adapt is a wonderful benefit. So that's a little bit about that. Let's launch another poll question, Josephine. Poll question number 2.
Happening right now.
All right.
Maybe.
Okay.
We'll see. Okay, here we go. Do you see it?
Yes, we do. All right. So the question, what is your nonprofit's current approach to earned income? So option 1, we have a well-developed earned income strategy. Number 2, we have some earned income sources but need to expand. Number 3, we're exploring possibilities. And number 4, we haven't considered earned income yet. And however you answer this is absolutely fine. So be, make it an honest response.
We'll give you a couple more seconds to answer.
All right, I'm counting responses here to see. We've got, looks like 29 participants here, and we've got 10, 20, 22 responses. So we're probably pretty good there. So the winner here is we're exploring possibilities, which we love. Of course, that's the name of today's session. So what an appropriate place for you to be. Number 2, we have some earned income sources, but need to expand. Also a great response. You're in the right place. And then we have a few of you we have a well-developed earned income strategy, and that's great because even if you do have a well-developed earned income strategy, there's always opportunities for more, either through evolution or growth or creating something new. And we have a couple who said we haven't considered earned income yet. So hopefully today will allow you to give some consideration to it and keep moving to explore possibilities. All right, so thank you for that. We've got another Zoom poll question to follow up on this one, and I'll wait for Josephine to pull that one up.
I'm the poll launcher today. Here we
Yes,
go.
sir. Thank you. So this one says, what percentage of your nonprofit's revenue currently comes from earned income? So you might not know precisely, or you might not even have a sense, even just kind of on an estimated basis, but give it your best shot here. And it actually could be a good piece of homework for you following today's lab is to go back to your organization and pull from your latest 12 months of revenue what actually came from earned income. So let's see here. We've got most of you are in the 0 to 10%. And then we've got, let's see, the next one is 11 to 25%. And then we've got a couple of you who are 26 to 50%. Um, one who said more than 50%. So that's pretty substantial. And then we've got a few of you who said, hmm. So again, I think this is not unusual. This is oftentimes what we see as we poll organizations that are going through this lab. But again, wherever you're at is a perfectly fine place to be because the opportunity to increase your earned revenue is always there and available to you. The more you can sort of carve out that earned income piece of your total revenue pie, the better. Um, so I'm going to stop this poll and we'll go on. Okay, Larry, over to you.
All right. Well, we're going to dive in and share a number of different examples now, and we're going to give you a number of times to kind of have discussions about it too. So if you have some paper, take some notes along the way, it might be helpful as we open it up and start discussion. So we've decided to approach this through three different lenses. First is sector. So we'll kind of, and we want you to think about this in so many different ways. So the first is a sector approach. The second is a strategy, or what ways could we do earned income, kind of what process. And then the third is really revenue path, kind of very specific, what might those products or services be? So we'll be approaching this now in those three kind of lenses. And the first one, I'll turn it over to Mike.
Okay, so let's start again. Remember, we're exploring possibilities. We want you to open your minds and think about a variety of different possibilities. So, as you think about this first lens, which is looking at a variety of different nonprofit sectors, and what might you do within that sector as you're thinking about earned income, we're going to start with arts and culture, which obviously in our region is quite important. So, arts and culture, there's a number of different earned income activities and models that are applied. So, no surprise, membership oftentimes is a source of earned income. Retail stores are oftentimes a source of earned income, whether they're brick and mortar stores, e-commerce, or a combination. Ticket sales, of course, are important, as are classes. And the list goes on, but these are what we frequently see within the arts and culture sector. So, as an example, we've worked with the Visual Arts Center in Punta Gorda, and when they were thinking about their own earned income possibilities, they had an interesting idea, which was they were already offering a number of art classes to folks in their community, but they realized that for all of those classes, their students were actually going out to buy all their art supplies at Target and Walmart and on Amazon. And every single instructor for every class had a list of supplies. So their idea was, oh, let's launch a new earned income venture called our art supply store. And essentially, what they did is for every single class, when that list of supplies was issued, they said, you can buy it from us. And they ended up putting it on their website. They made it available in-house, and you could literally purchase it in advance. And when you came to that class, that bag of supplies or box of supplies or whatever it was right there and ready for you when you got to that class. So bring the revenue in-house as opposed to having folks go out in the community to spend those dollars. A great way to boost revenue and a great way to boost their mission impact. So that's one pretty unique and innovative example. Okay, Larry.
Yeah, the next one is around human services. So that sector within the nonprofit area. So it could be something fee-based services, it could be a housing, it could be around a training and employment. Just think about human services, and some of you are human service type organizations. So the example I want to share with you is an organization that we worked with in Sarasota. Many of you know the Friendship Center. You drive by it on 41 probably every day. if you're in the downtown area. Um, the Friendship Center had a adult day center, mostly for people with dementia, some Alzheimer's, and it wasn't doing all that well. They didn't have a business strategy behind it. They were losing clients. So when the Friendship Center got involved with MMI, they really decided this is what we want to take to the next level. So we helped them develop a business strategy. So they redid the staffing model, they did the outreach model, they did the billable rate, and the pricing structure behind it, and greatly increased the numbers going in. And they actually renamed it at the end of it all. So Friendship Centers is a good example of a human service organization that really took something that they had and went to the next level.
Okay, let's talk about environmental organizations. And there are a number of earned income activities that we've seen these types of organizations do. So everything from eco tours, outdoor recreation, rentals, and the list goes on. So I'm going to take you now to Hartford, Connecticut. We do an initiative identical to Margin and Mission Ignition in the greater Hartford area. It's called the Social Enterprise Accelerator. One of the organizations we've worked with there is called Riverfront Recapture. And essentially what they do is they run and manage kind of all of the public facing events, activities, and access to the riverfront in Hartford. It runs right through the middle of Hartford if you've ever been there. So in working with us, their exploration of earned income possibilities led them to launching a venture that was all about rentals for equipment for a variety of different riverfront activities, kayaking, canoeing, paddleboarding, uh, and ultimately creating an ongoing source of revenue during the months, obviously, of the year when it's not snowing and cold. And they have turned it into quite a business. And what they found prior to this launch of this venture is that again, the revenue that they were capturing had previously been lost because people were going elsewhere for those rentals. They were going to REI, they were going to LL Bean, other retailers in the community to either rent or get those things that they were ultimately Riverfront was able to capture. So another interesting opportunity for earned income. All right, Larry.
The next group is around education, the education sector within nonprofits. And this is another organization. Well, it could be, a store or tuition or student transport services, or it could be a number of other things within the education world. And some of you are educational organizations, so you can relate with that. The example I want to provide to you is another group that we work with in Hartford, Community Child Guidance Clinic, and they have a very large school actually, and they work with kids that have some behavior issues. And what they were finding was that the school districts that were sending the kids to their school were putting them in cabs, were putting them in transportation methods where the kids were not doing well. So they created their own transportation business because they saw, one, the need, and they saw a great revenue model. So that's what CCGC did. They created Happy Trails, and they currently have 5 vans, and they're transporting kids to 5 different school districts and back.
All right.
The next one, yeah, the next one is animal welfare. And there's a lot of animal groups that we have worked with in the greater area. So we had to choose one, but it could be adoption, it could be clinical services, it could be retail store, e-commerce. Animal welfare groups do all of these or a combination of these. And the organization that we worked with here is Humane Society of Manatee County. And those of you that know Rick Yoakum, who's the executive director, very dynamic individual, they already had a clinic that was generating some resources, but he wanted to take the clinic to a whole different level. So we helped them put a business strategy together, including restaffing and marketing and sales. And they actually exponentially grew that clinic business. And now they have actually done 2 additional businesses beyond that, including I just lost the word, a dermatology business. There we go. For animals in the area. As you know, it's an issue. And so anyway, that's another example of an animal welfare group that we worked with here in the community.
I think they're also looking at, aren't they looking at an orthopedic specialty too?
They are.
Yeah. All right. And the last of our sector-specific examples, let's go to social services. And of course, there's a number of organizations that are in this sector: counseling, therapy, legal services, employment, and the list goes on. We want to share an example with Legal Aid of Minnesota in Sarasota. And they were one of our very, very early margin mission ignition client partners. And I'm sure many of you know Linda Harradine. But they came up with a really interesting idea for their earned income venture. So, as an organization that obviously provides legal counsel to those who are underserved in our community, they knew that they had a number of inquiries that they would get on an ongoing basis from individuals who were actually they couldn't qualify for free legal aid because their income was higher than the cutoff. So they decided to offer to that segment of the population what ultimately became called Florida Lo Bono. And exactly what it sounds like, it wasn't pro bono. It was offering a variety of different legal services. It could be for divorce or custody, or a number of different services that people were frequently requesting, but at a low cost as opposed to no cost. And this business has been up and running for quite some time. And if you're interested in learning more about it, you can actually look at it on the Legal Aid of Minnesota website. But obviously very mission aligned, and also an approach to help generate some additional incremental revenue for the organization. All right, so that's sort of through the lens of sectors. And we want to just pause for a minute here and give you an opportunity, since we threw a number of examples at you, and just ask, did any of these examples make you think differently? All right. And I'm going to actually just take us off screen share for a moment. And feel free to put yourself on video. So this is kind of, our first interactive piece of this session. So please raise your hand if you have, something to share. What of these examples might have made you think differently? And don't be bashful. So remember those examples that we shared were in arts and culture sector, human services, environmental organizations, education, animal welfare, social service. Anybody see yourself in any of those examples or think, oh, well, we could do that?
Mike, there's one.
Go ahead.
You guys can just come off of mute and just share.
Who just
Is
raised?
it Shanti? Is it Shanti or go ahead, take yourself off of mute.
Chianti. Yes, we have a big sports part of our organization, and we were just thinking about I was just thinking about all the different accessories and things like that that the kids come with during season, and we could actually do a store here.
Cool.
So do you give them a list of like equipment or accessories or things that they need, or how does that work?
It's normally stuff that the parents go out and buy. Like they go
Okay.
out to the sporting goods stores and buy it. And now as there was something that you mentioned here, and I was like, oh, we could when you were talking about the art thing and
Yeah.
how they were selling the art supplies.
Yeah.
You know, they do socks, the mouthpieces, all those different things.
Great
You
idea.
know, like the fancy ones, not just the basic ones, but that's something we could probably purchase in bulk and have a store here.
Yeah, great
It's a
idea.
great idea.
You know, why not allow yourselves to actually bring that revenue in-house? Likely the parents will feel good about purchasing it from you because you're a nonprofit doing good in the community versus taking it to Target or Walmart or Amazon, you know, who obviously are in it for the buck.
And they're here anyway, so
That's
one
it.
less
Yeah,
trip.
that's right.
Uh,
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah, and again, that model, it was Visual Arts Center at Punta Gorda is a great one for any organization that, you know, offers classes of some sort where you need to have, you know, purchase something uh, to bring to that class or that training or whatever it is you're doing.
Uh,
Chianti, thank you. Anybody else want to share? Emily.
Hi, everyone. Emily with foodrecovery.org. We're a nonprofit that is kind of like a matchmaking service between food businesses that want to donate surplus food and getting it to nonprofits that can use that food. So, lucky me, I happen to live in the area. One of the biggest barriers that we see is that there's lots of nonprofits who want the food. They don't have the people to go and pick it up, right? Could be 30 minutes away. So by the time they're there, they're loading their vehicle, they're putting it in there, they're bringing it back, is really time consuming. So in some places we have offered transportation where we've hired contract drivers to go pick up. So here's my challenge. We write a lot of grants to cover that transportation piece because we want to remove the barrier of nonprofits who may not have someone to send to go pick up the food. So my challenge is that one of our co-founders in particular has stressed very much to keep things free, which I love the idea of keeping the food free. However, I feel like if there is a nonprofit that maybe can't pick it up, is there a possibility to charge some nominal fee, right, to kind of help keep that going? But I feel like I've got some internal friction between, right, an idea for a possible revenue, right? The community child guidance clinic was making me think of that with their happy trails
uh-huh.
and being conflicted between we're trying to reduce the barrier, right, for nonprofits who don't have the people power to pick up and yet are literally running out of funds to pay contract drivers to do that. So I think actually that's my thinking, but also my question is how in a situation, and maybe that's too particular, but where you've got a conflicting maybe mission from 10 years ago to where we're at currently and trying to get creative with solutions where, again, something like that. So, Yeah.
Well, again, you're not alone. I mean, we work with a number of organizations where there's a little bit of that tension or that conflict, and that's kind of one topic in and of itself, because oftentimes you have to be very intentional and have those conversations to identify the tension and figure out, how you can kind of move beyond that. But to your point, is there an earned income idea in that transportation piece? And the reality is, that's the fun part, is the creativity, is to say, well, what could we do? So you shared one idea about potentially charging a nominal fee for transportation for those who don't have the ability to come in and pick it up. But then you'd have to kind of think that through, and really decide, like, so who is it? How much would you charge? And maybe there's some other ancillary services you could provide around that.
Right. And I guess I would add, don't assume the nonprofits don't have the money to pay you to deliver the food, right? So that's part of the business strategy, and as Mike said, the fun part of getting involved, and maybe, Emily, getting that person involved with business planning, so they're part of the creative process instead of just hearing about it from the side. So
And I
it's a
think,
thought.
and actually, after lab one, like Larry said earlier, and we'll talk more about this, we're going to do a Zoom consulting session with each of you for 1 hour. And we take the time to, talk it through and brainstorm with you. And just again, give you some one-on-one time to think these things through. So thank you for sharing.
And if that person still has a lot of control, make sure they're on that call. just a thought.
Who else?
Great, thank you.
Anybody else have an example that stood out and that might have been memorable for your particular organization?
Kendra.
Yeah, I'd like to jump in, please. This is so timely, so thank you for being here and offering this. I'm constantly racking my brain about how do we generate revenue. And we do holistic mental health services for military veterans and their family members. So, I mean, we really don't want to charge any kind of fee for service because finances are such a barrier for mental health treatment. So we have an opportunity to move. We're in the process of purchasing a property in Manatee County. And so with this property, providing all of our services there and also retreats, we have a lot of ability to be able to use that property to generate revenue. So the main house where we do our retreats would probably be vacant for about 200 nights out of the year. So how else can we use this property? What else can we rent it out for? Who can we offer this to use it in just various capacities, as well as it's on 6.5 acres of agricultural land. Can we bring in an agricultural program and start maybe a farmer's market? We do also have a yoga studio where we do yoga classes. Do we open up some of the classes to the community? And the community can come and pay for that service for a fee. So getting like you said, the community is really important to also get involved in a different way. So when you say that you do one-on-one business plans, I'm like, oh, pick me, pick me, pick me. So just lots of ideas that we have, but it's just like, you don't want to have mission creep show up where then all of a sudden you're taken away from your mission. So how do you really focus down on what would be the biggest return on investment?
Yeah, well, Kendra, thank you for sharing that. I know I work as one of the MMI participants, Resilient Retreat, and the Retreat Sarasota are one of the organizations we work with. I know you've partnered with them as well. Your name has come up during some of our one-on-one sessions. But what you just described is very similar to them too. So they have a venue rental and space rental business. Obviously, they're on several acres of property, have facilities to rent, and they've carved out, quite a nice business and stream of earned income that is mission aligned. Um, and one other thing that they do that is super interesting that came out of this process of exploring possibilities is it's not just a venue rental business. So if you come in and book a retreat, you can book the space, but you'll have the opportunity to purchase a la carte offerings that are mission aligned from Resilient Retreat. So you could bring in yoga to your event, or you could do a nature walk with your event, or you could do, mindfulness or meditation, or things that are much more aligned with the mission of Resilient Retreat. So it's the rental side, which brings in revenue, plus the programming side, which is bringing in additional revenue. So lots of opportunity. But thank you. James.
Good morning. My name's James Steele. I'm an executive board member for Southwest Florida Council. We have a very similar issue that Kendra had. We have a Boy Scout camp that's 185 acres, right in Manatee County. It's been there almost 100 years now. It's only used on the weekends. And I mean, when the scouts are there, now we do lease some of the property to the Foundation for Dreams for their handicap program. But we still have 180 acres available that we've been racking our brains to try to figure out how to generate income off that property as a community asset. So that's what this call, when I was given to this by Jeanine Amick, because you need to attend this. I go, yes, I need to attend this.
Well, James, if I can just chime in here. So again, I'm going to go back to Hartford, Connecticut. So we are working with a camp there. They've gone through not just the labs, but they went through the intensive kind of business planning and consulting phase of the initiative. It's called Hartford's Camp Current. If you go to their website and pull up the rentals tab, you will see what has been a result of this initiative there. They turned what you just described is exactly what they described at the beginning of their initiative. It's a 100-year-old camp, expansive grounds, beautiful, really nice facilities. And they launched a full-blown space rental, venue rental business. Parties, events, meetings, retreats, and the list goes on. And I had a Zoom with them yesterday to check in with them to see how their bookings are going. And they had a list of probably 10 bookings just in the past month that, in total were, it was probably $20,000 to $25,000 in revenue. So yeah, I urge you to explore this further as part of this initiative. It'll be I think it'll be a good thing. We've got a lot of experience with that. So thank you for sharing. Hartford's Camp Current. All right, we've got a few more minutes and then we're going to take a break. Anybody else want to share with us? Was there an example that stood out to you and what made it memorable?
Yes. Jesse.
Oh, yes, thanks, guys. Sorry about that. My name's Jesse Coleman. I'm with WSLR in Fogartyville, Sarasota's community radio station and community media and arts center. One of the things that I've been thinking about expanding into a little bit is the world of podcasting. So kind of just the ideation that you all were putting on was great for us. I think it's an area that aligns with our mission. We have kind of the resources to do it already with the skills and expertise. But offering it out to the community, be it nonprofit or individuals, for a nominal fee as well, and building kind of a business model around kind of the resource and investment that we'd have to put into that.
Nice. Michael Corley, do you want to chime in?
I think that's a great idea, and there's an opportunity there, and it's something that people pop up all the time, and it's just a matter of putting the business plan together and trying to determine the demand. I don't know what else you want me to say, Mike. You put me on the spot. That's all.
Well, Michael, for those of you who don't know, I mean, he has a wonderful podcast series that really, it's called I-501CU, and it really focuses and dives deep into board-related issues for nonprofits. So, again, I mean, I think the idea of being able to develop podcasts to build visibility and awareness, and potentially monetize them, can be a great thing. And I mean, Michael built podcasting, kind of from the ground up, and it's become quite the unique series and pretty sophisticated.
Tressa, did you have a comment? Or Teresa, I'm sorry. There we go.
No, I've been taking everything in. There's a couple
Oh,
of examples that did align with where some of our current earned income things that we could strengthen and expand. We're a human services, social services agency with a variety of different programs. And so there are opportunities that we're just now starting to learn about.
great. Great. Thank you. Teresa, yeah. From Project 180, go ahead.
Hello, Tess. I'm the other Teresa. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
So we work with folks who are coming out of homelessness and also post-incarceration. Typically, they're a pretty vulnerable population, a lot of undiagnosed medical issues, as well as oftentimes being dedicated to recovery and sobriety. We're looking at a tiny home, becoming a general contractor for tiny homes and going after the tiny home market in counties that have the zoning that would allow it, which doesn't necessarily include Sarasota, but could be Manatee and DeSoto and others that are further inland. The cost of tiny housing is much more affordable for construction and also hurricane proof, which is on everyone's minds right now. And we'd like to go after the smaller market. You know, we would never compete with large construction firms, nor do we wish to, but we want to create affordable housing for folks to be able to come out of incarceration and to become financially sustainable and to live in small communities that support healthy living. So to create those healthy living enclaves. It's been done in other countries, it's been done in other cities. And I think Florida is ripe for this revenue generating possibility that would help us become more financially sustainable as well.
Right. I live in the Seattle area. I know that there's a few in the Seattle area.
That's right. And
Great.
Denver, Colorado as well, and Amsterdam, and
Yeah.
What a great
idea.
What a great idea. So, Teresa, thank you for sharing that. And yeah, certainly hope you'll pursue that as part of this exploration because it's unique, it's different, but it's, you know, it's been proven and tested elsewhere. So why not bring it to this region?
Yeah, especially when folks aren't getting their insurance claims right now. So it's very timely when folks who've been paying into insurance for 40 or 50 years aren't getting their claims out of their condos on the water.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody's moving
Good.
inland.
I think I even saw, if I'm not mistaken, that some of those whatever you're calling them, tiny homes, are being produced with 3D printers. Have you ever seen that? Crazy.
It's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah,
All
if you
right.
remember the Sears and Roebuck's home kits,
Yes.
you know, it's not far off.
Yeah.
We just don't have the brand of Sears and
Yeah.
Roebuck to make it Americana.
Right.
That's right.
Well, we're gonna
Okay.
pause and take a 5-minute break. So feel free to put yourself on mute and take. All right, so let's go back into our slides. Bear with me for 1 second here.
So the next kind of lens we want to use is more strategies. And think about these as kind of approaches. And the first one is fee-for-service programs. So one example of a fee-for-service program, or could be around training, consulting, professional services. Some of you might be doing some of these things now as fee-for-service, those of you that are already doing earned income. The example I'll give you is an organization we have worked with, Mike. Yeah, is NAMI here in the greater Sarasota area. And we helped them create a peer training program. So they found that they needed to do some peer-to-peer work and they were getting calls about kind of peer leadership. So they developed a training program. They've actually developed a TOT around it. They developed a whole curriculum around it and actually took it to a copyright and trademark process. So they took it to a whole different level because they really do want to sell it outside the state of Florida. So NAMI is a good example of a fee-for-service program, and many of you know Colleen Thayer here in the community, great nonprofit leader.
Okay, let's do another earned income strategy, which we call product sales. And that can take a lot of different forms. It could be merchandise, it could be selling publications, it could be selling mission-related goods, or a variety of other things. Product sales is one of those categories that just is so full of opportunity that the list kind of goes on and on and on. We do like to share this example, though, here in Sarasota. So the Lighthouse Vision Loss Education Center, which was formerly called Lighthouse of Minnesota, was one of our early Margin Mission Ignition partners. And interestingly, when they started working with us, they said, you know, we've got this kind of little store that's housed in our building, but it's not branded and the walls are beige and it's kind of blah. And, you know, it's more of a hobby than it is a business. So the light bulb went off and it became really an idea for evolution and growth of what this sort of existing store was, but to really take it to the next level and make it a full-fledged, you know, revenue generating, mission aligned store. So they went through the process of business planning with us. They had fun, as you can see, creating a brand, a logo. It's called Peepers. This little frog became their icon, and they had so much fun with it that once they launched it, they actually brought that branding to a vehicle that they wrapped with the frog graphic. They brought it in and had decals made and put these frog decals on the floor as you walked in the front of their door, all the way over to where the store was actually located. And then they used it, of course, in marketing, advertising, social media, and so forth. So Peepers, it's a store for people who have low vision. They might be blind, they might have vision impairment or other issues. But interestingly, they really positioned themselves as being the retail store in this region to sell digital magnifiers. And digital magnifiers are an area of specialty. They really require a trained professional that they hired to have in the store to help outfit and educate and train those folks who were buying these digital magnifiers, you know, that can range from $500 all the way up to $5,000. So it turned into a, you know, quite a nice stream of incremental revenue for the organization. And then they also launched an online store as well. So e-commerce has been a part of this initiative. I'm also going to talk just briefly, even though we've sort of referenced this, facility rentals and asset utilization is another strategy. And when we talk about facility rentals and asset utilization, we talk about, you know, renting out event spaces. You might have a commercial kitchen, maybe there's shared workspaces, and even so, you know, a number of organizations have equipment that they can rent out. You know, we've worked with organizations that have, you know, forklifts and other kinds of things that others have interest in paying a fee to rent. So an example of the facilities rental business, and again, Manatee Performing Arts Center right in our own backyard. Janine Amick, a super entrepreneurial leader, really embraces earned income. And way back when they started working with us, they too had the realization that they had this beautiful building. They had a number of facilities that others wanted. So they decided to turn that into a full-blown venue rental business. And I think, you know, part of what the challenge was for Janine was to go beyond just making it venue rentals and to really align it with the mission of the organization. So she did a couple of things, or their team did a couple of things. One was to ensure that every venue rental that they did, everything they booked, that somebody from their staff, from their team, came in at the beginning of that event, that meeting, that wedding, that party, whatever it was, to explain, where are you? This is the Manatee Performing Arts Center. This is our mission. And you're surrounded by those things that really help us catapult our mission in the community. So their goal was to really inform, educate, and let people know who were coming there what it was all about. They too added kind of a mission aligned set of a la carte services that could be purchased by somebody who was doing a venue rental. So things that were related to the work that they do as part of the Performing Arts Center. So, you know, if you were hosting an event or a party, you could actually book kind of the programming side of the house to come in and do a training on performing arts, or you know, to do a paid tour in the space, or to host something up in they have like a kind of a black box theater where you could do something and so forth. So really a nice way to offer up venue rentals.
And the
Okay.
last one, as far as the strategy, is membership models. So some of you might have memberships already, but it's exclusive content. It could be training. There's a community benefit in a membership. So I'll give you an example. I'll take you 1,200 miles away again, up north, where it's still cold. And the example is Hartford Food Systems. So it's an organization that provides healthy food to low income. And they decided, you know, it's somewhat like the conversation we were having earlier. They decided that they wanted to sell farm shares. So it's a box of healthy food to folks that would actually be part of their membership model. They pay $500 a season. They get a box a week or every other week of really healthy fruits and vegetables that are grown locally. So they have partnerships with the local farmers and folks that are producing the products or the produce, and they actually have developed a revenue model around it. So they sell so many shares every quarter. They pre-sell the shares prior to the season, and they've actually done pretty well in the model. And this isn't unusual. There's other farm share programs that are going on in different parts of the country. So they didn't create this or invent this. They modeled it after some other organizations, but it's important to know that it's locally grown fruits and vegetables. So they're partnering with the local farmers and growers at the same time. So it's a membership model, and they've are doing well at it. So you might, Mike. So maybe there's one of these examples that touched on you that stood out to you most. Mike, if you want to open it up for just one more minute. Maybe there's one or two of you that haven't spoken yet that want to share. Kind of, did one of those touch on you? Did something, are you thinking about something that you haven't thought about as far as earned income?
I'd like to ask a question, maybe just that's sort of in keeping with this. Do any of your organizations currently operate a retail store of any sort, whether it's a brick and mortar store, you know, an e-commerce store, or a combination? And or, you know, if not, is that, you know, is that an opportunity for any of your organizations?
We do operate a Habitat Restore here in DeSoto County, looking to expand that. E-commerce is one thing that I've looked into quite a bit, and problem is having the capacity to be able to do that. That takes, you know, another full-time person, which we don't really have at this time the income to justify that. I think it would create the
Yeah,
income, but you know, to be able to just take that plunge is always a big step. So
yeah. That's what a business plan does, Jennifer.
Yeah.
So hang in,
yeah,
hang in. Yeah, good.
Teresa,
All
did you
right.
I think I saw you raise your hand?
Yeah, if no one else is looking to speak, I'll just put it out there. We just learned that we're chosen by the Sarasota Film Festival for their documentaries to be shown on April 5th, kicking off the Sarasota Film Festival, which we're really excited about because it tells the story of our participants and how they are navigating life. And so I was thinking of opening up a merch store with the title of the documentary, The Light They Cast, to promote the storytelling of our clients. So that is
Great idea.
on my mind.
Great idea. Pop-up stores are great. They are a nice revenue generator, especially when you take it to a place where there's a lot of people. We've had great success with those here, in this community, but elsewhere. You guys also have a cool logo, which would lend itself nicely. Do you do branded merchandise at all? T-shirts, hoodies, hats?
Not yet. We have not.
No. Yeah, you've got a very, very cool logo, and one that obviously lends itself nicely to that. So great idea.
I like to plug for the film festival too. That was you did good getting that in.
Yeah, that was good.
They only gave us 3 weeks to let people know. So
There you go. Yeah, every opportunity. There you go.
All
Mike,
right.
should we move on?
Sure. Okay. So let me just advance. We already took our break. So now let's go to our third lens. And again, remember, we're still exploring earned income possibilities. So this is the one we're calling revenue paths. And again, this may spur some additional thinking for you. And part of the reason we love this idea of revenue paths is it really does speak to all of you through one of kind of three approaches, and maybe, a combination of one, two, or all three of them. So we call this first revenue path expand and grow. And that's where literally your organization can look at or identify the existing earned income activities that you have currently that you could expand and grow. So Jennifer, you mentioned, that at Habitat, you're looking to expand and grow your retail business. So this is very much kind of in keeping with that. The second revenue path that we like you to think about is what we call free to fee. And that's, exactly what it says. It's, taking and looking at and considering programs that you already offer. They're likely free. So how might you move them to fee? And this is not an impossibility. I mean, we're going to share a couple of examples here. In fact, Larry mentioned he was just reading an article that talked about a model in this free to fee area called freemium. So kind of like that, just putting a premium on the free products that you offer and figuring out who you're going to sell them to. And then the third revenue path is we love this one, and we'll share examples on it. And it's like, okay, what are some brand new ideas that you either have already that are kind of on your wish list, or that you could brainstorm, and bring to life because they don't currently exist. And we've got examples of those as well. So let's dive in and take a look at these. So in the expand and grow, we've got some examples here that we want to share. So the first one, again, in our own backyard, many of you have probably been there, Peace River Wildlife Center. They were and have been one of our partners for a number of years. And very interestingly, they took a look sort of at everything that they had existing by way of earned income as part of this process going through the learning labs. They actually looked at kind of their 12 months of revenue that were coming into the organization, and they identified that this little kind of teeny gift shop that they had back 4, 5, 6 years ago, which wasn't very sophisticated, but it was generating about $50,000 a year in revenue. And they decided that this was like ripe with opportunity for them to expand and grow. And they did just that. So working through this initiative, developed their business plan, raised some growth capital, and then, really brought it to life with the wonderful thing being that they were able to, more than double their revenue from this little store by putting the power of, marketing and advertising and purchasing more inventory and really making it much more of a dedicated business. So again, a perfect example of an expand and grow opportunity. Okay.
The second one is Manatee County Habitat for Humanity. And we've actually done a couple of business plans with them, but the one that I'd like to share is Expand and Grow, which is they had 3 retail stores up and running, and they knew that they couldn't grow any more in the current space. So they wanted to expand into a new community and have another resale store. So they went through a business planning process, chose that location in that community, and actually launched a new store. But it wasn't just launching the new store and opening it up. They switched up their payment structure. They changed their staffing model for all their stores. They created an kind of an oversight person for all their stores, which they didn't have before, a manager. And they created a distribution point for part of their the furniture that they sell in their stores. So it really did change all their stores, even though they opened a new store. So they expanded and grew their retail store model.
And the third example that we like to share with Expand and Grow is Sarasota Operas. And Sarasota Opera came to our learning labs. I think they were in our most recent iteration of MMI. And interestingly, they had a costume rental studio, and uh, they have actually one of the largest, most extensive collection of opera costumes for rent in North America. But oddly enough, they had acquired this collection from a business that was closing, was actually going out of business in Canada, but they purchased it right before the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit and they had to put everything on pause. So as we were emerging from the pandemic and offered these learning labs, they came to the labs and said, this is a perfect opportunity for us to reinvigorate this business and to expand and grow it. And lo and behold, that's exactly what they've done. They've got now 100,000 pieces of opera costumes that are housed in a very large warehouse. And they rent these opera costumes to opera companies all over the country, small, mid-sized, and even large ones. Interestingly, they've also done rentals because they get calls now from movie studios, from production studios, from television, and their opera costumes have now been in a number of national commercials. And interestingly, they're also getting a lot of business now from colleges and universities that have opera programs, and the list goes on. So last year they generated about $550,000 in earned revenue just from this business, which is quite cool. Okay, so if you currently have earned income activities, other than Jennifer, who has shared that you're interested in potentially expanding and growing your store, anybody else that perhaps is thinking about expanding and growing something that is already existing? I'll go off screen share for just 1 minute to see if anybody wants to chime in here. Anybody have an existing earned income activity that you're hoping to or would love to look at expanding and growing?
We want to expand and
There's one.
grow our facility rental.
Ah. So Chianti, you're already generating revenue from that, right?
Yeah.
Are you guys Bayfront Community Center?
No, we're United Community Centers. We're 13th Ave Dream Center.
Got it.
Mm.
Got it. Yeah. Well, a good business opportunity. There's so much need for event spaces and venue rentals here in this area, and we find that it's quite. It seems to be an ongoing need and demand, and any good earned income venture starts with need and demand.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Emily.
We recently started charging for event food recovery specifically. So that way, if events want to make sure that they've got, compostable items to put the food in, make sure that it's secured and going to get picked up. So I'd say we're not at the point of expansion because we're really just starting with it. But very curious to see how that takes off, as we've had a couple of decently large companies reach out to us about managing that on their behalf. So that way, food recovery, wherever it's happening from some event, can be taken care of based on the size and volume of the attendees, which usually indicates the level and amount of food. So I see a lot of opportunity for us to promote that more and let people know that that's something that we can offer. And then on the free side of that would be they're welcome to always use our platform. There's not a cost. They can post it, right, and see if a nonprofit claims it and picks it up. So yeah, that's where we're at with that piece.
Great example.
Great.
All right, so let's continue to the next section.
So the next section is free to fee. So some of you are, as Mike said earlier, maybe giving things away. Maybe you have some programs that have been grant funded in the past and you've just been doing it in the community. Well, these MBOs chose to evolve a current program from free to fee. And I'll give you two examples. The first is Literacy Council of Sarasota. They were doing ESL training in the community. And doing it very well. Most of it was being covered through fundraising that they were doing or through some grants that they had received from some local foundations or maybe some other maybe national dollars. But they decided to take that model and apply it towards a different target market. So they still had the model, but they were then looking at businesses potentially to apply the model for. So think about free to fee. You might be doing it free now, and you might still do it free for those who you are providing services to, but maybe there's another target market that you could charge a fee towards that still need that exact same service that are willing to pay for it because it really does help them, whether they're a for-profit or a nonprofit or a different community group or a state agency even. So Literacy Council is a good example. They were one of our early MMI adopters. Seal of Freedom, many of you know their work in this community. They work with anti-sex trafficking. And they were helping other organizations throughout Florida and throughout this region, and they were providing some consulting services. They were answering their phone and spending hours with them, just answering questions and helping and coaching and doing things and realizing that it was taking away from some of the work that they were or should have been doing or could have been doing in our own backyard here. So they decided, how do we take this kind of free service we're providing and turn it into a fee structure? So through MMI and our work with them, they created a consultant business, which has really, really taken off. They created a whole brand around it. They've created 4 different curriculums around it. They have a number of target markets for it now, including prisons is just kind of being launched. So they're doing consulting services in a number of states and actually in 5 foreign countries. And this has all happened within the past 2 years. So how you can take a good idea. So think about the things that you're giving away for free now. And maybe there's a different approach. Maybe there's a different geographic region that you could still do the service, and there would be folks that would be willing to pay for that. So Seal of Freedom is a really good example, free to fee.
Larry,
Anybody?
time. Should we move on since we've got another
Sure.
section to
Yep.
cover? We got to be
I
mindful
agree.
of our time here. All right. So this takes us to our next area, which is what are those new ideas and opportunities that you don't currently have within your organization that you might be able to create and launch as a new earned income venture? And we always love working with organizations in this area because truly the possibilities are endless, and you're also going to think of things that might seem really kind of wild, but actually could become great earned income opportunities. So, in this particular case, Art Center Sarasota went through our learning labs, and interestingly, they had their own building. They were located in a very nice area, sort of, as part of or near the Sarasota Bayfront. So very conveniently located, close to town. But they were doing almost no venue and space rentals. So as they went through the labs and started to think about it, they knew that they were, getting inquiries. They were hearing frequently from businesses, nonprofits, and individuals in the community about the possibility of venue and space rentals, but they never really did anything about it. They were very focused on the programming that they were doing as part of the organization, and knew that if they really wanted to do this, it was going to have to think about it truly as a business opportunity. Well, they decided to launch, what has become venue rentals at Art Center Sarasota, and have done quite well with it. They thought about it in terms of, we need somebody on staff to run it. We need to invest in order to get this off the ground, to make sure we have, our bathroom facilities are up to date, that we have a good sound and AV system, because that's what is needed when you're hosting events. They needed to have proper tables and chairs and so forth. So today, Art Center Sarasota's business has really turned into a viable earned income venture. And again, to make it mission aligned, like we've shared with some other examples, they have an a la carte menu that if I'm going in and booking an event, I can bring in some of their programming to offer an art class, an art project. If I'm doing a kid's birthday party, they'll come in and bring somebody to help kids do projects. So again, venue rentals that generate revenue, but also help to drive mission impact.
I'll touch on this one, Beyond the Spectrum. It's a school and clinic here in the greater Sarasota area that works with kids with autism. And they started as a school, and they figured that the parents were needing to run to 3 different therapy sessions after class almost every day with the students or their kids. And they decided, why don't we just create our own therapy clinic? So they created an ABA therapy clinic through MMI from the bottom up. And it has greatly expanded. They are at capacity right now in Sarasota, and they're doing some clinic services in other communities within the 4-county region. But they have done very, very well, and probably have between 25 and 40,000 a month in net revenue, which then goes to help offset the cost of the school itself. So great model, very mission aligned, as you can imagine, saves the parents tons of time because the kids are right there, and has generated a really good revenue model to help offset the cost of their school. Beyond the Spectrum.
All right, I'm going to go back to Hartford. There's an organization that we work with called Hark Inc. They are a nonprofit that is 100% focused on helping folks who have developmental physical disabilities to learn important life skills and to hopefully improve their quality of life. This team came to our learning labs, and I'm going to make a tireless plug here for bringing your team to our lab 2. If there's only one of you on or two of you on, since we're doing lab 2 on site in person, bring your team, because this team took creativity to a whole different level when they said, we don't have this. We don't know exactly how to do it, but we want to launch a novelty sock business. So as they talked about this opportunity with us, Larry and I were like, oh, that's interesting. We've never, worked with an organization who's done that before, but it was based on their own insight about the greater Hartford area where there was no sock store, and novelty socks for men, women's, and kids is a big business. And they happen to have somebody on staff who came out of the retail world, and they had some insight into this. So they launched, ultimately, after going through the whole business planning process, a store. It's called Sock Stars, SockStarz. It is a online store, and they do brick and mortar, plus they do pop-ups. And they have made this into a substantial business that generates, more than $250,000 a year just from selling socks. And they made it mission aligned by uh, bringing their participants in from Hark to train them, to employ them in the business, and to pay them a fair living wage. So it has become a really unique, fun, cool model for earned income generation that at first glance, everybody would have kind of looked at and said, really? Socks? You can look them up online, but it's a really unique earned income venture. I'm going to go to Charlotte Prep. So over in Charlotte County, Port Charlotte, there's Charlotte Preparatory School, and they went through our labs, and also as they were doing their exploration of earned income possibilities, had a great idea for something brand new, and it was a real aha for them because they didn't have a school store. And as they started talking about this and thinking about it, they realized that there was so much opportunity to sell to their own students, who are obviously there ongoing, everything from school spirit merchandise, hoodies, sweatshirts, t-shirts, gym gear, because remember, the students were all going out and buying those through some sort of partner organization in the community or via an online or e-commerce or retail store. So that revenue was going out the door as opposed to staying in-house. So they created a store called the Fin Shop, Phin. That's their mascot is the dolphin, and they launched this wonderful in school store that also is online, where you can buy school supplies, you can buy merchandise, branded merchandise, and you can also buy snacks and beverages. And trust me when I tell you, this store has become it's a fun, earned revenue venture. It is quite lucrative in terms of raising dollars for the school. And they've also, to make it more mission aligned, they have a curriculum in social enterprise. So they actually teach their students about business, and then they train them and let them work in the store. So again, really a wonderful opportunity. Plus, and I just want to say this, it's another way that they've been able to leverage this store is when the students get their supply list from their teachers during the summer, they can actually order their supply kits from the store, folders, the crayons, the markers, the scissors, etc. So that's the Fin Shop.
And the last one, first of all, thank you for hanging in there. We've shared tons of examples, and that was our goal today, is to kind of fill your head with so many different examples. The last one is YWCA in Hartford. And like a Hark, they came up with a really wild, brand new idea where they wanted to create a florist business. So Mike and I had never created a florist business before, but it was just walking them through the right process, right? And they had never done a florist business before. So fast forward to today, they're the second highest rated florist business in Hartford, Connecticut. After a year and 4 months of operations, they've generated in Persimmons Petals over $1 million in sales. And it's an education training model because they're bringing women in from YWCA into the training program and teaching them about the florist business. So they took an out there idea, created this amazing business, which is getting recognized throughout the community now, and created a training model around it. And it never would have happened unless, if they wouldn't have been involved, created a business plan around it, and gone through a very, very thoughtful process. So that's our last example we're going to share with you today.
Larry, I'm going to chime in on that one too.
Sure.
They, as part of their, capital raise to get this business off the ground, they actually hired somebody who was an award-winning designer, floral designer in the Hartford area, which has really helped them catapult their business. So you can just see from
Right.
the floral arrangements that are in this picture, they're really, they're beautiful. And
Right.
Larry and I always like to say, is there anything like this in the greater in our community? And remember, there's always, an ongoing stream of parties, events, galas, and what a unique sort of pipeline for business for the right nonprofit organization here. So we're not above, imitation is the greatest form of flattery, right?
Right. Mike, why don't we go to
Over
the
to
poll
you.
question?
Yeah.
Here's our last poll question, and then we'll wrap up. What's your big dream for earned income at your organization? First of all, Josephine. Yeah, sorry. There we go. What's your big dream for earned income of your organization? We've given you a ton of ideas, right? We hope to expand and grow existing activities. We want to move programs from free to fee. We want to explore new possibilities, or all of the above. Wow, all the above is just like cleaning house here. We like that.
Give you a few more seconds.
Good. We've given you examples of all of those. And I think you got your mind thinking, hopefully overthinking about all your ideas that you could grow and take to the next level, or something brand new. Thank you, Josephine.
Hang on, I just got to get the poll question off my screen. There we go. Okay, Larry.
All right. So where do we go from here? Work with your team to complete your action items. And, you can never walk away without having to do a little bit of work. So there's always some action items. Identify existing earned income activities. Mike, I think this is your section, isn't it?
No, this is you.
Oh, okay. Identify existing earned income activities that you can expand and grow. You will get a worksheet tomorrow, which includes these three questions that we're asking you, or these three numbers that we're asking you. So one is expand and grow. So think about this as a team, inventory, everything that generates revenue for your organization. How much revenue did it generate during the past 12 months? Think about that, and rank order from high to low in revenue. So what do you currently have? How much has it made? And rank order it. Inventory it. So that's expand and grow something. The second area is free to fee. Consider programs that you can move from free to fee. Is it coming up? There we go. Identify all your current mission-driven programs that are free right now. Kind of what are they, and which ones could be monetized? So think about that. Not all of them can be monetized, but rank order them from high to low. So free to fee, which ones could be monetized from high to low? And the last area is new ideas. So brainstorm some possibilities that don't currently exist. Open your minds and explore those mission aligned opportunities. And we really do want to see them mission aligned. And use some creativity about thinking of ways to mission align it, because there's always ways to think about that. A florist business isn't necessarily mission aligned, but they made it mission aligned. So bring your team together for that ideation, not just your staff team, but also ask board members, maybe ask some folks on the outside the organization, and allow yourselves to be creative in that process. And think outside the box. The next steps. So we're going to take it to the next level and advance your earned income. So join us for lab number 2. It's going to be in person. And the title is You Think You're Ready for Earned Income. So we're going to focus that lab really on what are those ideas, because remember, Mike and I will have had a conversation between now and that lab with you to kind of go through all those ideas and that worksheet. But think about joining the lab, and it's in person, okay? And it's on Wednesday, April 16th. It starts at 8:30. Location yet to be determined, right, Josephine? At this point. But you will be the first to know. Yeah, you'll
We'll
be
let
the
you
first
know.
to know. Yeah, exactly. So what's next? Criteria for participation. You had to be here at Lab 1. All of you were here. Complete and submit the worksheet. So you'll need to send that to Mike or I, and I'll explain how to do that in just a second, and have a consulting session with us. And I'll explain how that happens. We'll sign up. You'll sign up for a doodle poll with either Mike or I. So just after this, you will get an email from Mike and I, probably next Monday, with a doodle poll, and sign up for that. And we'll be looking at a couple of weeks out for those calls. So register after that call. You can register for lab number 2. We want at least 3 team members to register: the CEO or executive director, a board member, and a staff member. You might say, why a board member? And what we have learned over the many years that we have done this, it's absolutely critical that a board member is involved with the process, because you need, as the CEO and ED, an advocate at the board level to really move things forward and to help educate the board along the way. So we want a board member involved in the process. So be thinking about who that board member might be. Start to have those conversations sooner than later. So what's next? You'll receive a follow-up email from Josephine tomorrow with that worksheet, the slide deck, a link to the slide deck, a link to the video recording. So we really encourage you, some of you that was just 1 or 2 people from your team were able to attend today, share it with others that might be on the team that comes to the in-person. Have them kind of go through the video recording and at least listen to what we had to say. And then there'll be a feedback survey that we'd love for you to fill out. It always helps us in the future. Plus, you'll get a doodle poll from Mike and I, and we're thinking of having those calls the week of the 31st or the week of March 7th. So those 2 weeks. So be looking at those 2 weeks. And after that, you'll get the invitation to register for lab number 2. We want to make sure we have the call with you first. And after that, the lab series continues. May 14th is lab number 3 from 10 to 12 via Zoom, like this one. And we will focus that lab specifically on business planning. So the components of a business plan, and it really is the blueprint for moving forward for earned income success. Maybe we can open it up. Any questions? I just went through kind of a lot of details, which you'll get in the PowerPoint deck, but so happy all of you hung out with us and very thankful you shared your ideas. Lots of good ideas kind of kicking around. Some of you didn't share, but I'm sure you have other ideas that you're kicking around. Please reach out to us if you have additional questions. You will be hearing from Josephine tomorrow and Mike and I early next week. Any parting thoughts or questions at the end before we say goodbye? If we've just overwhelmed you with too much information, right? No. Mike,
All right.
anything you want to
Thank you,
say?
everybody. We look forward to our Zooms with you. We look forward to seeing you face to face in person in Lab 2. And we appreciate all of you joining in. We hope that this session delivered on our goals that we outlined up front. And you were all wonderful, engaged participants. So thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
All right.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
See you
Appreciate you.
soon.
Thank you very much.
Josephine, I just saw that Katie McCurry at Harvest House wrote, "You could do the lab at Harvest."
I sent
I
her back
love
a
that.
message that
Do you want to stop the recording?
thank you.
Nice venue, at least the pictures.
I think I remember you saying that, Michael.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I love that she said that.